Hi you guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be talking about my at-home brow routine. So this is not how I apply cosmetics to my brows. This is simply how I do a brow tint and wax at home. So if you are interested in watching that, just go ahead and keep watching. First things first is the supplies that you will need. This will depend on what you would like to do for yourself. I like to do a full tint and then follow it with waxing. So for my tinting, I use the Revlon Colorsilk hair color in the shade 40 Medium Ash Brown. This is just the perfect tone for me because it's an ashier tone which goes well with my hair as well as my neutral skin tone. And this you can usually find at all major retailers, and it usually costs less than $5, which is perfect because you are not going to be using very much to cover your brow hairs. Next, I have Vaseline, and this is not a necessary step, but Vaseline you can use with some Q-tips or just your fingers, and you can use this to apply on the skin around your brows to prevent from any color from the hair dye to soak onto your skin, which will help if you are if you have plans for the next day and you don't want to have big bushy brows that aren't even your brow hairs. Is just the hair tint. So to apply that, you will need either a hair color applicator brush or a spoolie. I purchased just a package of disposable spoolies. You can get these at Sally's. I think actually like Walmart and Target carry them as well now. Or you can get them on Amazon. These work really well because you can make sure that each individual brow hair is coated evenly with the hair color. You can also use eyeshadow applicators to apply the Vaseline. These are by the brand e.l.f., which you can get at major retailers, Ulta, Amazon, several places you can get e.l.f. Once you have completed the brow tint, if you do not want to do a wax but you want to clean up your brows a little bit, you can use a brow razor. These you can get at major retailers as well. This is the Ardell brand Pro Brow Trim and Shape. It's just a single razor, disposable, that you can just use to trim around your eyebrow. If you do want to use wax, the wax that I use is actually a kit that you can get at Sally's Beauty Supply, and it is by the brand GiGi, and this is the all-purpose honey microwave formula hair removal system. Now this includes the wax, slow grow, post-wax concealer, wax off, and pre-hone. So this is the full kit. I actually only use 3 products out of this, but for what you pay, it's cheaper to just buy the whole kit. Then you will need some applicators. These are also by the brand GiGi, and this is the Petite applicator. So basically it's just a skinny popsicle stick, but if you have a smaller applicator, it's easier to get into the smaller spaces, which is really good for brows. I also have some Birchwood sticks. These you will see most often used as a nail product. These are by All Season Professional. I got them at Sally's. These just have a flat side and they're double-ended. So these work really well to get in that precise application. So I use a combination between these applicators and these applicators. It's really just finding what works best for you. And then with that type of wax, you do need a strip to remove it. It is a soft wax. However, you could also get a hard wax where you just apply the wax and then pull it off. It hardens. But for these, I prefer to use, also by the brand GiGi, this is the cloth epilating strips for all soft waxes. Now these come in a very large strip. So what I do is cut it in half and then cut it in half again so that they're already proportioned when I go do my brows. You can, I believe they come in a smaller size. However, I just think it's easier to buy the big package and then just cut them as I need them. And then to finish things off, you will want a tweezers to get out any of the stray hairs. And then I also use, I don't have it up here, but I also use a little cuticle scissors to trim any of my longer hairs that stick up. And what I'll do is once everything's dry and clean, I will brush them up and then trim them a little bit and then brush them down and trim them if they need it. And those are all the supplies that you will need. It really depends on you as a person and your skin and what you want the outcome to be on what supplies that you will actually need. So just think about what you want to achieve and if you will need all of these products. But I will go ahead and list them down below, and be sure to stay tuned because next we're jumping right into it. We're back and we are ready to apply the tint to our eyebrows. I'm sure I look way crazy, but first things first, you want to make sure that your brows are completely free of any product, whether it be moisturizer, brow gel, anything. You want to make sure that they are completely clean and dry. So I have done that. So I'm going to go ahead and start mixing my tint. So your box usually will come with a few products in it. One of them is a conditioner that you will not need for your brows at all. However, if you want to use it for your hair, it is just a good conditioning mask. Puts a little bit of moisture back into your hair so that you can take to your shower if you'd like. Next, you have the actual color itself, and then you have the developer. So the developer comes with a little bit of like kind of a cap on it that you will need to take a scissors and trim off. And then you can add the developer into, or add the color into the developer. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Oh, all hair box or hair dye comes with gloves. If you are new to this experience, I would recommend two things. One, wear the gloves. Two, try this out before you put this all over your eyebrows. Because if it's not gonna work, you don't want your eyebrows to have it all over it. So I just dumped that in here. I'm gonna go ahead and take a paper towel, since I'm not using the gloves, and just put it over the top and shake the product. Usually you want to shake it for about 20 seconds to make sure that it is fully mixed. So we'll just shake that up. And then what I will do is I will squirt out the beginning of the product, because see how that looks? There, that's what you want the consistency to be. So I'm just gonna throw that part out. Now, if you think that you are going to be messy and won't be just applying this to your brows, or you have a lot of stray hairs that you're not quite sure where you want the brow outline to be, you may want to use something like Vaseline. Vaseline you can apply with just your finger. However, I recommend a Q-tip or one of these disposable eyeshadow applicators. And you can just apply that around your skin or around your eyebrows on the skin, and that will just create a barrier so that the dye doesn't soak into your skin and tint your skin, which will eventually fade, but for the first time I would recommend probably doing something like this so that you don't have brows larger than your brows. So I'm just gonna go ahead for the purpose of this video and put a little bit on. I'm just gonna do this very loosely. Quite a bit above the brow. And keep in mind that I am going to be waxing my brows after this, so any product that gets on the skin will be lifted a little bit when I go wax them. So I'll just do a little bit all around. And then after we apply the dye, we'll clean up a little bit as well. So I got my Vaseline applied, and now it's time to apply the tint. You can apply the tint a few different ways. One of the more precise ways to apply it is if you have disposable spoolies. These are very good because it'll get in between the brow hairs and disperse the product. You can comb it through to make sure every hair is fully covered. You can also apply it with a hair dye brush that you would use to apply product to your actual head hair. So this, obviously, it's not going to be able to get in there as precisely, but either one will work. I recommend strongly having one of these instead of just trying to dump this on your brows. So I'm going to use, actually I'll use both so you can see how they work. So I'll just apply a small amount to the corner of the brush. And I'm going to use my mirror, but we'll just comb this onto the brow, trying to get a semi-precise application. And now I'm going to switch to the spoolie. And again, just applying a very little amount right at the tip of it there. I'm just going to go ahead and comb this in on every brow hair, going a little lower, going a little higher, just to make sure that any that are sticking out of the outline are actually getting covered. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish this brow, and I'll be back I'll do the other brow and show you guys how I clean up after I apply. So last thing I like to do before I clean up is I just like to brush all of the hairs up and all of the hairs back down, just to make sure that everything gets coated. Same with this brow, I already brushed it up, so I'm just gonna brush it down. And then I like to shape them kind of to how I like to have them on a day-to-day basis. So they look a little bit more like a normal brow. Now I like to go in with my Q-tips and just clean up and get nice and close to the brow, not quite right up to it because I don't want to remove any of the tint, but just around it. So as you can see, just the top alone looks so much better. So doing this step is going to be what helps your skin not get dyed from the dye itself. And we'll go in underneath. Got a little sloppy on this side. Okay, so I know I look very crazy right now. I have my Frida brows on. So I'm going to go ahead and let this sit. Usually I will let it sit for about 10 to 15 minutes. However, proceed with caution if this is your first time doing this, because you do not want to leave it on too long and have them be too dark for your skin tone or your hair color. So we will check back in about 10 to 15 minutes. I'll show you guys how I remove the brows, and then we'll go ahead and jump into the waxing portion of the video. The brows and I are back. As you can see, the product has developed, and these puppies are dark. So normally I do this removal process in my bathroom over the sink, but I wanted you guys to have as good of lighting as possible so you can really see what's going on. So what I did is I just wetted a couple paper towels in order to remove this. Normally I would use like a washcloth, and I just used like a rag washcloth because, as a lot of you know, hair color dyes cloth. So we are just going to wipe this away. As you can tell, it's already way better. So we're just gonna go ahead and get all up in there to make sure all the product is removed. And same with this side. So, as you can see, I have stained skin around. So listen to my words and don't follow my actions, but you are probably going to want to do this like when you don't have anything going on the next day, because they are going to be a little loud. I'll just tell you that. But like with normal hair color, you know, the color will fade. And you probably wash your face more often than you wash your hair, so it'll fade even quicker than hair color. So I'm just gonna go ahead and wipe off that Vaseline that's on my forehead as well. Now, at this point, if you are not planning on waxing your brows. You just kind of wanted to tint them and shape them up a little bit. This is when, well, usually I like to give my brows a little bit of a break at this point. Just a few minutes, just a short break. But at this point, if you are not going to be waxing them, you can just go in with an eyebrow brush or spoolie and comb through your hair. I like to comb them down first, and then just take a little scissors, and then you can trim them and shape them however you'd like them, and then go ahead and comb them up and do the same. And then you can go in with your tweezers and kind of fine tune everything to your desired shape for your face. Now I'm gonna go ahead and take a little bit of a break, but then I will meet you guys in my bathroom and I will show you how I wax these brows. Okay, so I have heated up my wax and we are going to go ahead and get started. First thing you'll want to do is comb through your eyebrows. I'm gonna start by doing the top side. So I'm gonna go ahead and comb them down to start. And then just go ahead and apply my wax. I like to get a small amount on the applicator so that way you can apply it more precisely. So I've just applied for the top half. And that's as easy. You can see the hair that has come off. So we're just going to keep doing that all the way around. I like to do usually half and half just to break it up a little bit. And keep in mind that you can always go back in and take more off, but once you've taken it off, there's no going back. So as you can see, the top side looks really good and a lot of that coloring did come off with the wax. So we'll go ahead and move on to the underside. And I'm actually going to take my brush and brush my hair up so it is out of the way. Don't mind my cats in the background. And for the bottom side of the brow, you want to make sure to hang onto your skin and pull it nice and tight before you rip the strip off, just because that skin is looser in general. So you want to make sure that you're not pulling at the skin. So I'm just using this to just get any extra wax off. So I'm just taking a step back and looking at the actual shape of the brow, and I am going to take just a little bit extra off the top at the very end. So you want to be sure to try and not wax over the same spot more than once, because your skin is already super sensitive after you have waxed it. So try to take your time and get a nice application the first time so you don't have to go back in. You can also go back in with the tweezers and pull any stray hairs out instead of going back in with the wax. So now I'm just going to go in and do the front of the brow. And also in between the brows. Gotta get rid of that unibrow. So that is how one brow is looking. As you can see, a lot of the tint that was on the skin was removed by the wax. And as we wash our face over the next couple days, it's really going to fade and be gone completely. So I'm gonna go ahead and do my other brow and then I'll check back in. Alright, so I finished my other brow. As you can see, we're a little bit red, but that's normal with waxing. Some people are going to be more red than others. It just depends on how your skin reacts to it. So I already did this brow, but next I am just going to comb this brow down. And if your brows have difficulty staying down, you can get your brush wet and then comb through them. And then I'm just going to take a little scissors like this and just trim off the extra. Now I do not get all the way up to the line. I like to still have a little bit hangover because my brows aren't very full, hence why we are tinting them. So I don't go all the way up to like the brow line and trim them. I like to keep a little bit more length. So we're going to comb them up and then trim any that are sticking up a little high. And then really focus on doing this in the front half, which is where most people have the most thickness. Okay, so that looks pretty good for now. So now what I'm going to do is use a little bit of the wax off that came in my wax kit. And you can just use lotion. Any sort of lotion will help a little bit with this. Make sure that you're using one that is gentle and not heavily fragranced, because you do have all this skin that has been disrupted. So the last thing you want to do is aggravate it even further. So this is what the brows look like once I'm fully finished. As you can see, there is still a little bit of the tint still on my skin. That will fade off as I wash my face. Mainly it's just right in this portion, but that will fade off, and I use full coverage foundation, so that'll be covered. So what I'm going to do now is check back in with you guys after things have settled down, probably tomorrow or the day after that, so you can see the final product when they're not so fresh and crazy looking. All right, you guys, we are back and it has been less than 24 hours and this is what my brows look like. I just have a little bit of brow gel and a little bit of pencil in on the inner corner, but this is what it looks like. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are down in the comments section below, and if you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.